Mr. Speaker, the number of Americans who support updating our electronic communication privacy laws is growing every day.
In 1791, English philosopher Jeremy Bentham designed the Panopticon, a circular building with cells along the outer wall centered around a watchtower. From the watchtower, all of the cells could be seen, but through a series of blinds and partitions, no one would know if he was actually being observed. This design may seem archaic, but the idea actually isn't too far from the reality we live in today. Everyone has a smartphone, tablet, or laptop. Everyone is connected everywhere and in everything they do. As of 2014, we now know that this massive amount of data can be tapped into by the federal government. In 1978, the first major act in modern U.S. surveillance history, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, or FISA, was created.
They basically go to the FISA court, they explain the program that they're going to use, they explain the rules that they're using to collect this data, and the FISA court signs off on it. Then they go and they start collecting.
So what happened is, they didn't use it very much for the first years. Come 9/11, come Afghanistan, they've now issued 31,000 warrants and only turned down 11.
Along with FISA, one of the best-known catalysts of the situation we find ourselves in today is the Patriot Act.
Yeah, the Patriot Act, as you know, was enacted within a month of the 9/11 terrorist attacks, and it was a huge piece of legislation, 400 and something pages long. A lot of it was stuff that the surveillance community, the law enforcement and national security community had wanted before, and it was enacted without anyone in Congress actually reading it.
Time the Section 215 of the USA Patriot Act has for years been secretly interpreted to authorize the collection of Americans' phone records.
Under the USA Patriot Act, the FBI issued more than 192,000 national security letters between 2003 and 2006 in order to obtain sensitive information without a court order.
It's sweeping in the rights that it gives the government and in the protections that it takes away from individuals.
Unfortunately, these wide-reaching laws have been abused in a number of cases. The main offender is the NSA. Under the jurisdiction of the Patriot Act and FISA, the NSA has grown out of control. In the past 7 months, new revelations as to the extent of this surveillance have been revealed to the general public. It seems as though every week there's a new development in this complex web of data collection. Oftentimes, when people hear about the NSA surveillance, they think they are unaffected by it. They aren't doing anything wrong, and thus have nothing to hide.
Most of us say, well, I'm not doing anything wrong, so it doesn't really matter. But that's kind of a short-sighted view. The government doesn't spend hundreds of billions of dollars doing surveillance to not use the information. So when it doesn't find the terrorist, when it doesn't find the smoking gun, it's going to start looking for something else. And whether that's tax evaders or people who don't pay their parking tickets or people who didn't vote Republican or didn't vote Democrat or what have you, the data is going to be there and it is going to be used and potentially misused.
Unfortunately for some, this government surveillance becomes more than just a peek at some texts. There have been many cases of men and women wrongfully accused by the FBI.
Steve Kurtz is a professor of visual studies at SUNY Buffalo.
Brandon Mayfield was arrested and jailed for 2 weeks in May of 2004.
In early 2004, an FBI agent visited Nicholas Merrill.
At the time, the FBI claimed his fingerprints matched those found on a bag filled with detonators used in the Madrid bombing.
Under the Patriot Act, they could have faced up to 20 years in prison.
Prior to his arrest, the FBI used the Patriot Act to break into his home and office and to electronically monitor his conversations.
Although there are several bills in the works to put an end to this surveillance free-for-all, not much has been done to set any fixed parameters on this massive abuse of power. The laws and organizations regarding government surveillance were put into place to stop terrorist attacks in their tracks. It is undeniable that some form of national security program is necessary in the world we live in.
The intelligence community exists to collect the vital intelligence that helps protect our nation from foreign threats. We focus on uncovering the secret plans and intentions of our foreign adversaries.
But the question is, how can we strike a balance between safety and civil liberties? It is time for Congress to begin making some concrete steps towards ending the surveillance frenzy.
Section 215 expires at the end of 2015. That is not going to be renewed. And then you're going to lose the business record access provision of the Patriot Act.
NSA has these two conflicting missions. One is to secure our cyber infrastructures, and the other is to steal other countries' secrets. And this has always been thought by some people to be a conflict of interest. And then what we learned through Edward Snowden over the summer is that not merely did this conflict exist in some intrinsic way, but that the NSA was actually creating a conflict. It was actually going out trying to weaken cybersecurity standards, thereby compromising its defense mission so that it could better serve its offense mission to take advantage of those compromises. And the easiest way to deal with this problem is separate those two missions into two different agencies.
When it comes to such a divisive topic, it is important to take the time to come to an informed decision. Nothing can be gained by hastily passing legislation in a time of crisis. Since Bentham originally designed the Panopticon, the idea has faced criticism for its lack of respect for civil rights. Right now, the United States Congress is at a crossroads. Do you, Congress, hastily continue down the path of a present-day Panopticon, or do you take the time to consider all of your options and come to an informed decision that will benefit all of the citizens of the United States? In 2014, you will face many issues, all of which need your attention. But first, you must decide to strike a balance between the safety of our country and the rights of its people.